What's up, guys? Welcome to Wide World Friends English, and today this conversation goes with phrasal verbs of food, part 2.
So focusing on serving food and eating food.
This time, we did not prepare the questions at all because we're just going to let the questions come up as we talk, because trying to chase down how conversation happens and questions as they pop up in the moment is really difficult to understand as an English language learner. Let's get started. Since we talked a lot about serving food, I want to ask you, when you serve food, what do you normally serve, and what days or holidays do we typically serve food as a host or hostess?
I feel like it's got to be really special because like my family, we did self-serve thing. You make the pot and then everybody comes up and they dish out the food from the pot. But like once my mom made the food, she was done. She was like, you guys get your own plates.
Yeah. Well, and you guys had like a smaller living space too,
Right.
so that just made more sense.
Yeah, there wasn't a large gap distance between the kitchen and the dinner table.
Yeah, it was like the stove and the table, so
Yeah.
it was pretty close.
That makes sense.
Yeah. For us, most of the time it was similar. We would just go help yourself. But then sometimes we would actually set the food on the table and try to eat around the table. But that happened mostly for like big family get-togethers. Like nowadays, this happens most Sundays because after church, we'll go and eat a big family Sunday lunch together. And sometimes it's all in the kitchen and we all file through the kitchen to get it out. Sometimes it's all on the table and we dish food out from there. Really depending on what is practical in the moment.
I feel like there's like 3 different ways to serve food, really. There's family style, which is what you just said. Take big portions, put them on the table.
Right.
And then you dish yourself the food from the table, from the big plates in the middle.
Right.
That's one type. The second type is self-serve. You know, you go to the kitchen, you get it out of the pot. But the third part is the host or the hostess actually dishes out the food. And I feel like that's really rare. The only thing that I can think of is like for Thanksgiving, only for like the turkey or something like that. Something where there's a limited amount and it's very precious or ceremonial or something like that.
Yeah, for the host or hostess or the cook, however you want to say it, for them to be the one dishing out the food, it would be a cafeteria situation where you're in a line and they're just putting it on your tray. Or kids. Like kids, we act like a host and hostess all the time in that we serve them food directly.
Right.
We dish out the food on their plate. We measure things out. That because if we let the kids do it, they would drown their food in whatever their favorite sauce is.
Yeah, that'd be gross.
Not good.
We've experienced that.
We've experienced that plenty. Our kids will drink sauce if they could. It's really weird.
Yeah.
So to avoid that, we go ahead and serve it for them. Otherwise, it's kind of like you said, whoever carves the turkey on Thanksgiving is likely the one who's going to dish out the food. Although last year we carved it up ahead of time and then people just went through and got what they wanted on their plate from out of those servings.
Yeah.
So
I feel like the fear of like dishing out somebody's food is that you're going to give them too much. And so then as the host or hostess, like you're going to be kind of like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to give you that much. Or they eat it really quickly and then they still get more. Then it's like, oh, I should have gave them more. Like it's kind of a hard decision to know and guess like, how much are you going to eat today? So I feel like that's why in general we just like kind of push that off onto like kids when they're bigger and they can control themselves a little better.
Talking about kids and their lack of self-control makes me ask you, is there anything that you drown your food in?
Oh, man.
Is there any sauce that you just want to just drown your plate in?
No, but it comes close with salad dressing compared to you. So she's super weird because she will eat salad with no dressing. Comment below if you're that kind of person because that is what she is like. And I find that really weird because salad tastes like grass to me. So I like to... If I'm going to drown something, which I don't really use a whole lot of sauce, but if I had to choose one thing, it would be salad dressing because I don't want to taste the grass. What about you?
I used to take chocolate syrup and drown, I would take 2 or 3 scoops of vanilla ice cream. Okay, this is after martial arts, so I had just done a lot of working out. I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I come home, and all I wanted for some reason was a big bowl of ice cream. So I would get 2 or 3 scoops of plain vanilla ice cream, and when I was much younger, I would put a lot of chocolate syrup on it.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say it's drowning it, but it's more than I would do anywhere close nowadays. I usually don't do chocolate syrup nowadays, but then,
Here's a really good measure. If our son put as much chocolate syrup as you put on your ice cream, would you approve of it?
Yes. After working out like that, yes. It would be okay. But I would remind him, as my parents did, is like, you're not always going to be able to eat like that.
I think it's really interesting because that's totally true. Like, if you were like a football player,
yeah,
you can eat like tons of stuff. You go to a buffet and you just tear it up. You just chow down.
Swimmers, anybody who burns a lot of calories can do that.
Yeah.
But the older you get, the less possible that becomes. Yeah. And then you just got to regulate yourself.
Speaking of chow down, what is some food that you could just dig into?
Oh, man. Noodles from China.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Lanjiao la mian, right? The noodles from out west, they have these fresh noodles. They make them fresh. They put them in a bowl with a big hot, really good bone broth soup. And the meat is like falling off the bone. They put those pieces of meat in that soup, and they've got vegetables that they saute really quickly in a really hot wok. And then they put it all in there in the same bowl, and it's just delightful. There's nothing like it in America.
Yeah. I mean, and it's a big bowl. Like, for you to eat the whole thing, you just like,
when it's really cold outside, that's something I could really chow down. Especially now that it's been like almost 3 years since we've had it.
Yeah.
That makes me sad now because I love those noodles. They're so good.
Yeah. And what's great about those is that, like, once you get done with the noodles, you get to drink up all the broth.
Yeah. So good. And you?
If it wasn't noodles, I feel like it would have to be stuffing or dressing, some people call it. It's a Thanksgiving thing, so it doesn't come around very often, but it's basically like twice baked bread soaked in chicken broth with tons of spices and seasonings. Oh, so good. Like, I shouldn't because it's just pretty much bread, but
and carbs.
But man, I love that.
He does.
I could chow down. I could dig into so much of that and make myself fat. Like, I would forego all of Thanksgiving
just for that. Just for the stuffing.
Yeah. Pumpkin pie, turkey. Whatever. The stuffing.
Yeah, he really will. Like, when there's leftovers, he will sometimes warm them up. Most of the time not. He can eat them out of the fridge cold.
So good.
Yeah.
It's weird because it's not very common. It's a very unique type of food that only comes around once a year.
Well, and traditionally it was put in the turkey and then cooked down inside the turkey. We don't do that anymore. We just make it in a pan separately from everything else.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
So good.
I had to learn how to make it from scratch for this guy when we got married because...
Yeah. When we went to China, we didn't have it. So we had to make it. Oh, so good.
Okay, but the real question is what's your favorite thing to wash down a bunch of stuffing with? You're normally the kind of guy that just drinks water all the time.
Yeah.
Lemonade if it's around, but normally it's just like water and coffee and sometimes hot tea, but none of those are like ideal to me with stuffing.
Not for stuffing.
Because for me, I like cold sweet tea with stuffing because it balances like the salty seasoning packed side dish. Because for me, it's a side dish of stuffing.
Of course.
But with cold sweet tea, it's just really good because it balances. But that's what I'm asking for you.
Yeah, I really don't know.
There's nothing that just really...
Yeah, I think that like for you and for your family, like sweet tea would be like mandatory at Thanksgiving, basically, right?
It is, because Thanksgiving is so salty. And some people are like, well, I'm just going to have dessert. And you don't want sweet tea with your dessert. But while you're eating, because we're weird, and in America, we often like to have a drink with our food rather than waiting till after our meal to have a drink or only drinking before the meal. We like to do both. So we like to balance while we're eating. I didn't know that was weird until I went to China.
Yeah. I think for me, if I had to choose something other than water, I would probably do something like Coca-Cola. It's not very good, but it's sweet and it's cold. So I would probably prefer, honestly, just ice water. Because I know that I'm going to be getting dessert.
What about apple juice or something cold and sweet like that?
No, it's still too much.
What about grape juice?
No. Grape juice gets close.
It gets close.
Yeah.
So I have to figure this out this year. We gotta find the perfect complement to your stuffing addiction.
What about for you? For your noodles, what would be something
sweet tea.
Yeah,
it's the same because it's still salty.
And so in China they didn't have sweet tea. So except for this one place, We'd have to go to that one place to get sweet tea.
It opened
a year before we left.
Yeah, a year before we left or so.
Something like that.
And I paid a lot for it.
Yeah.
They had great sweet tea. But yeah, that's the drink that I think of, because the reason I drank sweet tea as a kid and growing up was that it balanced whatever salty thing I was eating.
And then it's very salty and meaty and yeah.
And I don't like really sweet tea. I just like kind of like half and half to most Southerners, I think.
Yeah. See, for me, I really preferred having cold Coca-Cola for that reason.
Because it was there.
Because it was there.
It was always there.
It was also cold and it was also sweet. So
yeah. Same thing, but carbonated.
All right, guys. So there you go. That's our natural English conversation, trying to use some of these phrasals. And again, like we've said before, we will not use all of them. That's not the point. It's to use these in a very natural kind of way. Some of them we dropped the prepositions, some of them we didn't mention, and that's the point, because English is messy. When we actually take these vocabulary terms and use them in context, sometimes they don't exactly act how we want them to act.
Right. The difference between this conversation, the conversations we put here on our channel, is that we're not like a textbook. We're not trying to hit all the points and all the grammar points that we presented in the last lesson, because it becomes unnatural when we do that. So we want you guys to see these come up in a natural context and a natural conversation about these points. And today you guys get to hear that happen even without us planning any of the questions. Well done for making it to the end of the video, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.